Emily? There we go. Okay, it's 6:02 on Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, and this is the City of Reading Planning Commission workshop for the month of February. We have with us online today James Harris and Wilson Vesey, and then here in the room with me is Peter Rye, and I am Wayne Beeler. I am the chairman. And our first item on the agenda today is to welcome our new planning director, Simon Wangela.
Yes.
Oh, good. I did get that right. Simon has just joined us very, very recently, so we are very glad to welcome him. And is there anything that you would like to say?
Well, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for giving me the chance to join you in the City of Reading, and also for the chance to be here with every one of you. My name is Simon Wangolo. I'm going to be working with you as a planning manager, and I'm looking forward to learning from most of my colleagues, but also it is a chance to join you in extending the vision of the city.
Thank you, Simon. Okay. Next on the agenda is an update on the Stormwater Management Ordinance, Chapter 505 of the Reading Code, and there's a presentation by the Public Works Department. And of course, we have Tim here, and we also have the Utilities Manager, Deb Hogue, who is joining us on this.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. I'll take care of the story. Yeah, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll take care of the stormwater management ordinance updates. And I think Deb is going to review an update on the 19th Ward pump station and how that's coming along. But I thought it would be a good opportunity, and Jerome thought it would be good too, that among all these other zoning and saldo amendments, we'll just throw in the stormwater management ordinance and those amendments also, so you can chew on all of this. And hopefully in a month or so, we'll be able to get a consensus of the Planning Commission so that we can ask the City Council for their approval of these amendments. Tonight's agenda here is to talk about the city's stormwater management ordinance. Excuse me. And I just wanted to, I don't have any fancy slideshow or anything like that. And I don't even have any amendments for you to review at this time, because we're still kind of tweaking some of the items in there. We hope to have those finished up here in the next couple of weeks. And then after that, maybe next month, we can present those for you to review. They are somewhat technical. As you know, the stormwater management ordinance deals with a lot of engineering. And so that's why engineers like me and Deb get to deal with all that kind of good stuff. But they're important. And just to let you know, Simon, I've been assisting the city with the reviews as the city engineer or the municipal engineer now for, I don't know, Wayne, how long, like 8 years or so. Deb's also done some of this. And then before that, I was in a private sector practice, and I presented land development plans to the city. Wayne was still here. He was a few years younger. But we did a lot of work.
I just figured out that next month will be my 19th anniversary.
Congratulations. Well, we haven't even had the stormwater management ordinance that long. It was first adopted for the city in 2008, and these are the first amendments that we're proposing now since it was originally adopted. So it's kind of a big deal. And it's something that, as you know, Wayne and the rest of you, we've been sort of wanting some amendments. There's some things in here that needs to change so that's a little bit more manageable, a little more enforceable, a little kinder to the Planning Commission. So when they deal with these sort of things, there's less ambiguity, I guess, and it's a little bit more coordinated with the way that the states Pennsylvania DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, the way they operate their stormwater management. It's funny how the state has a lot of regulations for dams and floodplains and other things that deal with stormwater management. When it comes to land development plans, they rely on planning commissions in the municipality to enforce those regulations. And that's the way it is across the state. So just as a quick review here, then what we're proposing are amendments to the Stormwater Management Ordinance, which is Chapter 505 in the codified ordinances. Again, today it's just an overview. Next month we'll have a little bit more detail. We could dive a little deeper into it. I'm just going to hit on the main items and a little bit of a background on stormwater management for our municipality here in the city. There are two ordinances in the codified ordinance that deal with stormwater management. One of them is in the SALDO, the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, which we are also looking at revisions. Although, Jerome, I don't think there's anything in there for the stormwater management. I don't remember, but I don't think you're dealing. It's a very short section in there.
It's a very short section.
Very short section. It's 515, chapter 515, and the SALDO is 515, section 507. I think we're pretty much leaving that alone. Basically, what that tells the developers is what types of conveyance structures, runoff conveyance, inlets, pipe sizes, outfall structures. It deals with the engineering standards for how to construct the conveyance system for the stormwater management. And that's real similar to a lot of other municipalities. It's fairly simple. It's just a page and a half or maybe two. The subdivision and management the stormwater management ordinance is much longer. It's voluminous and it has a lot of organization behind it. That ordinance is promulgated under Act 167 by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. That was a law, an act that happened back in 1978, I believe. And it required all municipalities to adopt stormwater management for the safe conveyance of runoff in their municipality. And safe conveyance is beyond just the pipes. It's accelerated runoff for erosion control, for stream bank protection, for flooding concerns. That would be rate control for flooding concerns. For volume control, that would be considered for groundwater recharge, and for stream bank and swale protection from erosion. And of course, the big one is water quality. We want to keep our streams and our creeks clean as we can from sediment and nutrients and heavy metals and things like that. And that's why we have a stormwater management ordinance. Again, it's much larger and much more involved and much more regulated by the state and even the national federal government. The federal government gets involved with the NPDES program and our MS4. MS4 is stormwater management for small municipal stormwater systems like the city of Reading. Even though the city is fairly large, it's not as big as Philadelphia. It's considered a small watershed, a small municipal. And we are regulated, or we are required by our permit with the federal government to have an Act 167 stormwater management ordinance. And from time to time, we're required to update that with some amendments. And it's been a while, and we're overdue for an amendment. So normally we would be using guidance from our county, because each of the counties regulate the 167. They're mandated to come up with a stormwater management plan, and then each municipality within that county then is required to develop their stormwater management ordinance based on their model ordinance from the county. Now, it's been a little while since Berks County did their latest amendment. Chester County, however, did one just recently, just a couple of years ago, and it received good approval from the DEP, and therefore we're using Chester County as the model at their recommendation. And we've hired a consultant, Cedarville Engineering, to help us do that. And they went through it line by line and did a really good job of doing the updates on this. And I'm just going to touch on a few of the things of note, the ones that we'll be seeing in the future, as the land developments come through. Let me go down my list here and see. Make sure I got everything in here. I'll go through just a few of the major changes. As you know, I know Wayne knows this, and I think a lot of the others too. We often get presented with plans that have minimal impervious area, and the key thing here is the regulated impervious area, the area of developed area of impervious surface that would require some type of stormwater management facility to comply with the requirements of infiltration, volume control, infiltration, stream bank protection, water quality, and then rate control, which would be flooding. The amendment we're going to do is we're going to include a de minimis area of 1,000 square feet. If you remember, in the past, we've often considered 800 to 1,000 unofficially. If it's around 800 or maybe even 1,000 square feet, we would say it wouldn't apply to the stormwater management ordinance because it's so small. Okay, this will become now official rather than just sort of an unofficial use of the ordinance. And included in that would be also, you would have to be less than 5,000 square feet of additional earth disturbance. So you'd be allowed to do the 1,000 square feet of impervious, say a large shed or a garage, and then an additional 5,000 square feet of earth disturbance, which would be what you might need if you were clearing out a field to put in that garage and the driveway. So if it's under 1,000 square feet, we would still want to look at it, but we wouldn't impose the restrictions or the regulations in the stormwater management ordinance. Anything above that, though, would apply to the ordinance. So now we will have a de minimis area, which is something that we've wanted for a while. Another item is going to be waivers. We've not often, but a few times we've been presented with requests for waivers. Sometimes they've asked for a waiver of the entire ordinance. Well, we can't always do that unless it qualifies. Sometimes we've been asked for a waiver in the limiting zone. There's a 36-inch limiting zone for infiltration. We've been asked that a couple of times. There's nothing in the current ordinance that really says that this body has an authorization to grant a waiver. It sort of does, but then you have to go through the county to get it, and the county has nothing set up for it. So it kind of leaves the planning commission in limbo. Well, what about if we get asked for a waiver? The new ordinance will now have a waiver clause in there that the city will have the authority to waive or modify requirements as long as the enforcement will exact an undue hardship. It's sort of similar to the way the zoning hearing board hears variances in the zoning ordinance. So the planning commission will also be able to hear hardship cases if they're being requested to respond to a waiver request. I'm trying to see if there's the exemptions that we've looked at in the past. In other words, exemptions for regulated activities on a lot that is of a certain size where it's not being increased, where you're not increasing the impervious area by a certain square footage. That will still remain. Those exemption criteria will remain in the ordinance. So we'll be pretty much handling that the same way we've had in the past. Some of the definitions have been changed, adding some clarifications. Impervious surface, that definition was updated to include things like solar panels and other things. You'll be able to read through that. None of them really make a significant impact to what we do on a day-to-day basis, but it's a needed update. The low impact development, which has always been part of our ordinance, will be now included in the definition section to sort of explain what that's all about. This is what low impact development is, what's recommended, but not necessarily required for developers that would like to include things like rain gardens and other types of BMPs, stormwater BMPs in their development. There will be some changes to the groundwater recharge section. This is in the volume control section of the ordinance where it'll be a little spelled out, a little better defined as to how that's supposed to be interpreted. Rain gardens will be included. Those are bioretention facilities will be included in groundwater recharge. So that's a little different. I think the biggest change as far as the engineering side is concerned is in the water quality section. That's 505-126. It used to be that for water quality, and that would usually be the criteria that would give you the largest area of infiltration. So these infiltration basins, these a lot of times you see them under the parking lots, these large basins that infiltrate into the ground. These are the expensive stormwater features that require a lot of inspection, a lot of follow-up, maintenance, operation and maintenance agreements are usually written around these infiltration basins because basically that's what we're doing. When they're developing, they're taking away what used to be, a long time ago in some cases, it used to be pervious surface that would infiltrate. And
Tim?
Tim, we're having trouble hearing you.
oh, really?
It's breaking up a lot.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. Yeah, everything else is coming in good. Has it been breaking up a lot?
Just in the last 10 minutes,
Oh, boy.
5 minutes.
It's like the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, just where you
Discussion on
started
infiltration.
talking about low impact development.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Well, and I was getting into some of the, am I
If you
freezing?
want, if you can just, if you just wanna, turn off your camera, that'll sometimes help with the
Yeah,
audio.
sometimes, but not always. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to help or not. Yeah, you know what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
freezing.
yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing you're freezing too. So, which is unusual because usually it's not that way. Can you hear me okay now?
Now it's breaking up.
No, it's breaking up again.
Maybe-
Oh.
Maybe reconnect.
I can hear you. Can you guys hear Michelle?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes,
Yeah.
those of us on the phone hear everything clearly. That's odd.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing is it's freezing up on your end. In fact, you're frozen right now. Oh, now you're completely cut out. We've lost the picture. Yeah, we've lost audio and video.
I wonder if there's too much
Sam, do
going
you
on.
want to try calling my cell phone?
Yeah, I think it's on your end. But, oh, you want me to just do it on the cell phone?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's too much
John-
going on at City Hall today. There's 3 meetings going on right now.
Yeah, there's Harbin, council.
No, brother. Yeah, that could be it. Emily, what's your phone number?
Or do you want to?
Mine or Deb?
Sam, do you want to call mine?
That'd be fine. I forget.
610
Yep.
587.
Why don't we try turning all the video off first?
Okay.
So Michelle and
Hang on, okay,
Catherine,
let's try that first.
see if we can hear each other clearly. Michelle, why don't you turn yours off too?
I'm.
There we go.
There we go.
So is that
Yeah,
better?
try and-
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can hear me, what I'll do is I'll back up. The main thing I wanted to go over was some of the key items in the amendments. And you said, I sort of cut off when I was talking about low impact development. I think I was talking about exemptions and then waivers. Did you catch any of the waivers? That was an important one.
I think we're up to infiltration.
So the waivers you talked about undue hardship.
Yep. Okay,
You
good.
got
Good. You got
clarifying
that. You got the
definitions.
groundwater recharge. And then
then
the
you
main
were-
thing is the water quality. the water quality section, 505-126, the way it is now is if you're developing impervious area, you've got to use the entire proposed development in your equation in the way you calculate the volume of the runoff that needs to be treated for water quality. Okay, and that's not how the DEP regulates water quality. They have their Chapter 102. They have a different set of regulations in the city. We use Act 167. They use Chapter 102. And we're trying to get them to come together a little bit more, similar. So we're not often playing, off different sheets of music here. So the modification will now be that for water quality, we'll be able to include pre-developed condition as well as the post-developed condition. And so the post-developed condition will be regulated based upon what the pre-developed condition is. In other words, you'll be able to compare the two and address the difference or the net new impervious area, which is the way that Chapter 102 does. So that'll be a significant change, and it's kind of a welcome one because typically we get developers coming in and they'll say, oh, well, we're actually reducing the existing impervious. It's 100% impervious now. We're going to come in and we're going to do 90% impervious. And they're right. And it really isn't fair that they get to do the entire area of their development and use that area to calculate their runoff for treatment. Most of the other, in fact, I think every other municipality uses the pre-developed versus post-developed or the net new impervious area in their calculation. So that's what'll be now taking effect in water quality. That's the main change. Couple other little things. There are now references to other requirements, just to remind the developers that if you have an NPDES, a need for an NPDES permit, you need to get that through. If there is a Chapter 105, which is the dams, if you have any kind of a dam, we don't have too many of those, fortunately. Or if there's floodplain management, Chapter 106, that would be included. So these other references to other permits related to construction activities would be included in the stormwater ordinance. All of these, yes?
I just have a fundamental question. Is this
Yeah,
a
sure,
joint
go ahead.
system? Is this a joint system?
You mean a combined system or separate?
Combined system?
No, MS4 is municipal separate storm sewer system. So we are a separate system.
So who's treating the stormwater?
The
When I
stormwater,
say-
because it's not the combined system, it's a direct discharge that through our outfalls to the Schuylkill River, Hoboken Creek, Wyomissing Creek.
So the only treatment happening is if there's some bioswale or.
Yes, yeah, when I
Treatment.
mean treatment, Peter, when I mean treatment, I'm talking about the best management practices, the bioswales, the infiltration basins, and all these sorts of things. That's considered treatment because what we're trying to do is infiltrate and filter. We're trying to filter out the sediment, heavy metals, and the nutrients. And that's considered treatment when they go through a BMP, like a rain garden. Yes, we are a separate stormwater. So in other words, the city of Reading is not the same as Harrisburg or Lancaster. They have combined sewers and they go by a different regulation. We have a separate system, and we have a permit, a national federal permit through the NPDES MS4, which Deb just outlined for you there. Did that answer your question?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. Let me think, I'm just going down through here. Again, I mentioned about the model ordinance, and we are using the model ordinance, which was more or less issued by the Department of Environmental Protection and is recommended by the cities, by the other municipalities, that they comply with that and get their stormwater management ordinances updated. This is a requirement by the MS4. So it's something we'd like to do this year so we can report that as an achievement for this year. And it's also going to be just a lot nicer to use this modified, amended ordinance. I think it's going to help the Planning Commission do what they need to do and do it more thoroughly, a little more clearly, and with a little more control. So with that, is there any other questions? Again, I'll be going over this a little bit more next month, and I'll be submitting a more complete draft so you can have a chance to look at it. It is fairly technical, so if you have any questions, you can email or present them at the meeting.
Well, a lot of what we see here is sites with little to no impervious surface, right? That are getting redeveloped and remain little or no impervious surface. The only stormwater question is getting it to the street so it can go into an inlet somewhere, right? Because
Yeah, we
whether it's
don't,
gravel or cement that's impervious. That's what we see. Walking
Yeah,
sites.
Peter, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure. Could you repeat your question?
Well, I don't know, I'm just. We, in reviewing these sites, there's really not very much, even though we talk about stormwater compliance, there's really not much to comply to. It's, the sites are fully impervious or largely impervious. And they get redeveloped in the same fashion. Buildings might get improved or rebuilt, or in some cases expanded onto an already impervious site. Question is, from a stormwater standpoint, is just adequate system to get it to the nearest inlet? I think that's where it amounts.
Well, yes,
that
and
fair?
actually, just the simple transfer of the runoff to the next inlet, to the nearest inlet and get it into the system. That's what the Saldo ordinance does. But in between that, the idea of treating that runoff so that we infiltrate and restore the groundwater, and we clean as much as we can, clean the runoff from impurities, from nutrients, sediment, etc. That's the part that the stormwater management really concentrates on. That's kind of the main focus. In fact, over the last 20 or 30 years, the focus has really shifted from flood prevention and more into water quality. I would say 80% of the ordinance is really about water quality and less about flood prevention. We are concerned, we don't want to make the flooding any worse than it is, but we're not exactly improving the flood. You're not going to get an improvement in your flood prevention from doing these, because you don't see too many basins being installed for flood prevention. Only the larger ones where you would see that. And for the city of Reading, we're in the Schuylkill River watershed. And the goal there is really to get the flow out of the city. We don't want to hold back too much. The rule for the city is, hold back enough, but not so much that you're going to hold it back so long that you're going to be discharging it while the flood stage of the river is so high, and add to the flood stage. You want to get it out and gone before the flood stage comes in, which could be a day or so later. It could be hours later. So we're in that area of the watershed, of the Schuylkill River watershed. And if I failed to mention, our stormwater management is based on a watershed. It's done on a watershed basis. And we have two watersheds, the Topahawken Creek watershed, and we have the Schuylkill River watershed. That's how those are developed.
But we're not opposing any new requirements on retention and treatment for these sites. I've seen some bioswales, right, in some of these plans over the last couple of years.
Yeah, in
That's
fact,
about it.
These regulations are gonna bring everything up into temporary standards.
yeah, it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't impose any more restrictive requirements. It actually opens the door for more opportunities to provide treatment and to provide, BMPs, beyond just the typical infiltration basin, because we get a lot of these infiltration basins. There are other ways to manage the stormwater besides infiltration basins, especially for water quality. And so it kind of opens the door for that, which is a good thing.
Tim, does the Conservation District or DEP review this?
As far as I know, they do not, but the question is good, because I don't know that the county would need to review this. And I failed to ask that to our consultant because we're not using a model ordinance based on Berks County. We're using it on Chester County. And we're definitely under Act 167 under the jurisdiction of Berks County. So I would think Berks County would have to
Yeah.
review it. And I think Deb, you would probably
Last-
have, they had to review that and approve it the first time.
Yeah, the last go around, it was done through the county, but it was utilizing their model format.
Yeah, we had a lot of things that we did last time to get the Act 167. I remember just writing this Berks County only for the Schuylkill River watershed because there was not an entire 167 plan done for the Schuylkill. So we developed what we needed just for at the county level. But that was, like Jerome saying, in conjunction with the County Conservation District and the County Planning Commission. That was kind of everybody working together on that.
I don't know who would release it now.
Yeah, the planning for this, if my memory is correct, Tim, goes through the County Planning Commission, so I would think they may have something to say.
I would
I'm
be
not 100%
surprised if
certain.
they don't. Yeah, the way the Act 167 is written, it's through the county. But that's a real good question, and
Exactly.
I'll have an answer for you the next time. And I'm guessing it would have to go through the Berks County. I don't think it needs the DEP approval. But they need to know,
Yeah, count
they
on a
need to be
30-day
advised
review.
when we do amend it, they need to be advised of the amendment.
Count on a 30-day review period.
You're thinking that should be
My
simultaneous.
goal is by the end of the year, we'll have these amendments official and adopted.
Deb, you and I wrote the 2008 one.
There you go. How about that?
Say that again, Michelle?
You and I wrote the 2008 one.
Yeah,
was-
it's been a while.
Yeah.
And the county did approve it because I asked them. And in fact, I think I have a letter in my file where it does show that the county approved it. And just to let you know, the August 25th, 2008 threshold date, call it, that will still apply. These are just amendments. So anything constructed after that date is considered, with impervious. That is regulated impervious area. So if something was built, in September of 2008, that impervious area cumulatively counts for anything else that would be built in consequential to that, in addition to that. So that date still will hold. And that's the way the ordinance is written currently.
Are we monitoring water discharge? Is that part of
That's part of the program.
EPA's requirement is?
The program itself, you mean for what we have to do for the NPDES permit that we have?
I'm just thinking in terms of BOD load on the river.
No,
No,
we're
no,
not
we don't.
required to do that.
We do not monitor we do monitor the condition of the outfalls. We do check it visually in case we see something that's suspicious. If we see green water coming out, we know that there's something being discharged that needs to be inspected further upstream, but we do not take samples and send it to the lab for analysis like we do at the wastewater treatment plant. That's a different NPDES permit. Our NPDES permit is for stormwater, and they do not require monitoring of the runoff at the outfalls, but they do require inspection of the BMPs. And as you know, we have requirements for agreements, stormwater management agreements with reserved areas for easement areas for the stormwater BMPs, and also a long-term maintenance, operation and maintenance agreements and escrow that's being put up to make sure that the city goes out there and routinely inspects the BMP. So it's more of a performance guarantee rather than an actual metric on the stormwater itself.
Tim, one thing we'll want to make sure when we get this enacted is that the inspection language in the stormwater management agreements match that ordinance.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change too much. I think we've made some clarifications in there, but I don't know. As I was reading through the amendments, I didn't see anything that would really affect the way we have our model stormwater management agreement right now. I think we'll be good, but it would be good for you to review it just to make sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Sid, could we get a copy to Michael Hartman?
Of the, everybody will get a copy. As soon as we get the latest edition, I had a few tweaks that I had Cedarville Engineering make. As soon as we get that draft back, then I'm going to be sending it through Emily, and we'll have it issued to you and Michael Hartman and the rest of the commission, and everybody can have a chance to look at it.
Great.
This is Will. Thank you, Tim, for that overview.
Thank you.
Look forward to reviewing all that. What's helpful to us, if you haven't thought of this already, is if somebody uses the editing program so that we can see what's changed, what's deleted, what's added. Makes it a lot easier to follow and understand it. I hope it'll be in that format, please.
It is. It's done in Word,
Good.
and you'll see if you open up the track
Great.
changes, you'll be able to see what was edited in red.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You brought up about the rain gardens, and I know we've talked about roof gardens in the past, or green roofs, right?
Right.
But I don't know if there's anything about that. But what brought it to my mind was a decade ago, the city approved an ordinance regulating the use of rain barrels.
Yes.
Is there any thought about, I don't know if it's in the current ordinance or proposed, or if you've thought about this, is there any thought about giving credit for stormwater runoff for those, if they're properly, if they follow the regulations?
We encourage it. We don't necessarily have a program where we monitor it. Deb actually had
Mhm.
some input in that rain barrel ordinance. It would count for some points, but to meet the current criteria, even in the way these are being amended, a rain barrel isn't going to do a whole lot for volume because you can't get a whole lot in a rain barrel. And you got to make
Well, yeah,
sure
but
that
you
that
can
rain
have them
barrel is
you
empty.
can have them in tandem or have them at different points on a roof,
Yep.
though. But yeah, I got it, sir. Well, there's a limit, obviously, 55 gallons, I believe, for one barrel,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't, yeah, just was thinking about that, and then.
Yeah, and the other thing is with a rain barrel, and even if you have, and they do make them large, they make industrial size
Mhm.
rain barrels. You have to make sure that they're emptied because they don't do any good if they're full the next time it rains. They're
That's
pretty
right. They
high
have to
maintenance.
have an overflow valve,
Well, they have
so
an
that the
overflow
overflow
valve,
goes
but you
back
still have
to the.
right.
yeah.
That takes care of the overflow, but where the benefit is in the storage
Right.
in the actual container.
Yeah.
You have to make
Right.
sure that it empties within like say 48
Right.
hours.
So it has
Which-
capacity to accept more, obviously.
Correct.
And then any thought too on the, I know it's not your favorite thing, but on the green roofs, in a similar vein.
Yep. I did the only green roof that I'm aware of in the city of Reading, and it's on the roof of the Millmont Elementary School. And I don't even know if it's still there or not, but I don't think anybody else has proposed it. But a green roof doesn't really do much to meet infiltration because it doesn't infiltrate anything. It's a roof. And it doesn't do a
Mhm.
whole lot also for storage and for filtration because really it doesn't filter. So, I mean, I wouldn't turn it down if someone proposed to do a green roof,
Mhm.
but I'm not a big
Mhm.
proponent of green roofs.
I remember you saying, because, just the benefit you think isn't there
Yeah,
compared to other things, I suppose. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
I thought there was sort of one on Amanda Stout.
Amanda Stout, do they have a green roof?
I suppose more there than Millmont, but you might be right.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah, I
I don't
I'm
think
in the
so,
middle of
because they have
Millmont,
that
but I thought we had
flavor.
something on Amanda Stout to some degree on that. But anyway, well, either
Yeah.
way, you're right. The only ones I'm aware of is one of our elementary schools,
right.
and
Well, it was definitely, I know it was Millmont. Deb, I don't know, does the DoubleTree have a green roof? I can't remember.
and then we talked about it in that context too.
For the small porticos.
It's not that big though.
Yeah.
There's one there.
Yeah,
The
There are a
DoubleTree is
few,
very
not too
small,
many.
the green roof they have.
right.
Yeah, I remember
Right.
it coming up then when I first joined the board, but I don't think it was like a full one. It was sort of
Yeah.
Mhm.
quasi green. I can't hear everything. Sorry. So yeah, but it was something, and we
Mhm.
haven't heard much about any since then.
It's,
So,
it's
okay, I
hard
was just
to,
wondering about that. Thank you.
it's difficult to equate some of those BMPs with the regulation that you're trying to meet, with volume control. And those are two that are difficult. Like I said, the better ones are these bioretention swales and bioretention basins, or more commonly known as rain gardens. Those seem to have a much better ability to, do the job we're looking for them to do. And they seem to be more
Yeah,
popular.
and we have seen those on a few plans.
Right, and you're going to get a couple more. The city's building a couple. We've got SSM designing the two that were required over in the 19th Ward for our PRP, which is part of the NPDS MS4 permit. We're actually required to put in a couple of rain gardens, and they'll be coming up here this year. It's the first of the cities, I think, rain gardens. I'm not sure we have any other rain gardens. We have a lot of bioretention basins. I think we have 4 or 5 of them, Deb, over at the wastewater treatment plant. And we just finished one over at the Lincoln Street extension. Another bioretention filtration. It actually has a liner because it's an Act 2 site. It's a brownfield site, so it has a liner, but it filters.
Yeah.
It filters before it exits, so it does have water quality benefits there. So the city does own some of these BMPs.
Tim, for people who aren't aware, the PRP is a pollutant reduction plan. So
Correct.
when you talk about PRP, you're looking at water quality.
Right. Yeah, sediment
clarify.
removal. Yeah, and it's targeted for, and that happens to be the Tulpehocken Creek. So the pollution reduction plan for the Tulpehocken Creek is to reduce sediment. And these rain gardens are pretty good at reducing sediment load.
Okay, unless anyone has something else for Tim, or Tim has something to add, I think we can move on to our next topic. I think this went very well, and we will be seeing a few more things about this in the future.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And so I'll hand it over to Deb and
Matt Cox.
to talk about the 19th Ward sanitary sewer improvements.
I'll start by kind of giving you a little bit of an understanding of what the 19th Ward area is and what we're talking about there. If we're looking at what comes into the 19th Ward pump station. And Emily's awesome here at getting, that first image was perfect.
Okay.
If you take the first one and blow it up you had there, that'd be awesome. The 19th Ward pump station is located in Stonecliff Park. So if you kind of,
Yeah.
there we go. Kind of see if you, there's a marking on the, right near the bypass, I guess is how I'll put it. Where for the old timers, kind of your dead man's curve, as you're coming around and you look down. That's down in there where the pump station is. Emily's got the arrow right near there. Oh,
Yeah,
Right there.
let me, 1 second, it's because this got covered up,
okay.
so.
The 19th Ward pump station gets flow not just from the city. So there's, if you kind of look at what the flow coming from the furthest out and the different contributory municipalities coming in there. Lower Heidelberg has a portion over near Paper Mill Road, kind of just beyond Body Zone. They have the legacy at Paper Mill. That development comes in to the 19th Ward pump station. It flows in from and through Spring Township. The northern part of Spring Township comes into the 19th Ward pump station. So trying to look at it as a just blanked on part of Colony Park, Broadcasting Square. Some of the things in that area come across. Penn State comes in through, and actually there's 2 parcels in Wyomissing that come in, the Stoltzfus house. And the other one is one that was owned by the county. They come in, they were on lots originally, but they all come in and then go under the Tulpehocken Creek through a siphon. And then on the city side of Tulpehocken Creek, Byrne Township has a line coming down that services Greenfields. Goes through a series of pump stations and comes into the large interceptor. Those all come together before the city flow comes in. And the city flow is in that area in the 19th Ward. You can kind of see on the USGS map, which is significantly older than, and there are definitely more homes there than the map shows. But that all comes together to come into the 19th Ward pump station. From there, the pump station has a force main, which is pressure line that gets the flow, go kind of along the towpath, along the Topahocken, down through the confluence with the Schuylkill River. So if you look at the bottom where it says force main and proposed connection, there's an arrow up right in that area. Oh, Emily's good, Emily's good. Crosses over or under the Schuylkill River there and comes over into what we come affectionately known as the 50-acre site, which what used to be Dana South, Always Street Yard, Riverfront Commerce Center. It's had a bunch of different names in the 20 years I've been familiar with it.
Small loop north, New Cole.
See, yeah. But then there's an interceptor there and it goes from there, just running through a very large interceptor till it actually comes down to the Sixth and Canal pump station, which conveys 75 to 85, depending on the time of day, % of the flow to the wastewater treatment plant. So the 19th Ward pump station was originally built late 50s, early 60s. As area was developing, on-lot systems were connecting to it. And has had some more minor upgrades, but it has not been a total redo. The 18th Ward pump station by Schlegel Park Pool was totally redone and a new station went online in March of 2003. The stations were originally constructed at the same time. The 18th Ward area had more growth in the outlying municipalities that came into it sooner than the 19th Ward did. But at this point, based on the growth and the condition, the 19th Ward pump station and the accompanying force main, they are the final two projects that are to be started for construction for the consent decree, which goes back to 2005. Initially, the design project was done as the force main and pump station as one project, but it was to be a rehabilitation of the pump station. So keeping the same brick structure. Design advanced, and at 60% design on the pump station, the structural review was done, looking at all the changes that were required, and the structure could not handle what all needed to be done. The construction techniques, etc., it couldn't handle just the lifting, the increase in the size of the pumps, a whole host of things that way. So the city then split the project into two, keeping the force main with the original design firm, which is AECom, and then going out with an RFP for a brand new pump station. That RFP was awarded to NTEC here in Reading. So we have Matt Boggs here from NTEC to talk about that. I'll give you just a really brief. If you look at what Emily has on the screen for us, kind of shows the general location of how the force main route is going to go. It's slightly different than the current one, but it does involve crossing the railroad on the 19th Ward side, and then on the main part of the city, there's access through the railroad. So right now we're working on permits. We think we have most of the things taken care of with what's happening for the Norfolk Southern permitting. We have the Berks County Conservation District is doing permitting for some of the things that have been delegated by DEP to the Conservation District. And a lot of the things we're expecting to hear things by the end of this month, either getting a submission back to them. We've redone wetland studies, those sorts of things, kind of update, because splitting the projects had a delay from when permitting started to get to where we are. The goal is to be able to have this go out for bids the spring of this year. So we're kind of working toward that as fast as we can, trying to get all the legal stuff taken care of. But that's kind of gives you the gist of it. The other part is similar to the 18th Ward pump station, and what we did over at 6th and Canal is to keep the existing force main intact. When we get the new pump station up and running, then actually do rehabilitation to the force main that we have currently. So that we would then have two force mains, the ability to do work on either one as we would need to. So it gives us some redundancy that way. Something we haven't had before and has caused some problems at times operationally and trying to do some maintenance and things like that. So that's kind of where we stand on that. with bringing NTEC on board for the pump station itself, which is in Stonecliff Park. We've been working very closely, I'll say we, NTEC has been working very closely with the county on our behalf, as there are a number of different things there. Project kickoff was June of '23, and I will turn it over to Matt Boggs, who's project manager from NTEC.
Yeah, thanks, Deb. That was a great introduction. So like you said, we split the pumping station and the forest man, so we're just working on the pumping station. We've been involved with Reading, as well as the county, working close with Kathy and her group over there. What makes it challenge is we're putting a new pumping station in the park, so we need to create a new parcel where that pumping station is to go. We're gonna demolish the old pumping station. In order to size this for future flow and understanding that the existing pumping station is too small, the building's gonna get bigger. You know, there's a generator outside of the pumping station now, so we wanted to have it inside the building, which would make the county happy because we're trying to eliminate unsightly fences, we're trying to make the building look nice, we're getting away from brick. Trying to tackle all those issues, so started that project last year. We are getting close to the 60% mark, so we're meeting. We have monthly meetings with Reading. We're going to have a meeting with them tomorrow. Thursday is our deadline for submission of a 60% level drawings. Typically, that's around the time that we submit for permits. Water quality management permit, NPDES, we need it. Permits with, working with Tim for local permits, so that is all happening within the next month. We're still getting information from the field. We're doing some infiltration testing so we can do some of the stormwater management that Tim was talking about. So that's going to be incorporated into these plans as well. We're looking for final sign off by the county that they like the location of the building. One of the challenges that we're working on now, that's why I really don't want to provide any drawings because it's subject to change, is there are walking paths where we're putting the pumping station. Anytime you touch a walking path, it now needs to meet the ADA requirements. If you know Stonecliff Park and that slope around there, we came up with a concept plan that met ADA requirements and it was a certainty. It looked like, I mean, back and forth, and it was, no one wanted that. But we still need to meet those requirements of the ADA federal guidelines. So we have a concept now where we have some handicap spots down closer to the trail. So this is an ongoing communication that we're having with the county parks and also making sure that Deb and the city are happy as well. So all that is happening right now. I would suspect that within the next few weeks, this all going to shake out. So we'll have a definite location for this pumping station, get the size done so that we can submit some of these permits and keep it moving. To update you in terms of the schedule, this will be included with the permit submission, but we have 90% for our design in May of this year. We have the permitting being submitted before March or within the month so that we're receiving our permits in July of this year. Final design is also set for July. Bidding is set for September. Once you go through bidding, there is the process of getting the agreements and bonds and insurance. So we had targeted that to have all that done by December so that we could have construction start in January of 2025. And then because this project is it has pumps, it has controls, it has generators, and some of those lead items are more than a year. We have that final completion of June 2026. That gives you a time frame when all this stuff is.
What does this do for active projects that we have in this service area?
Well,
We have one significant one that has had hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. That's the Holy
Sure.
Trinity.
Yes,
What do we tell them?
there's nothing right now that's stopping us from a capacity perspective, because when you're looking at the pump station, we're looking further out. It's more like you're kind of like the Act 537 look when you're trying to determine the capacities that you'll need. So for them.
They were on our chapter 94 report last year.
Mhm.
They'll be on it this year, but I mean,
Yes.
they cleared some hurdles, but they still have some hurdles to go. And,
Sure.
I think their biggest ones left are vacating roads within their area. And I think they got everything resolved with Burn Township Municipal Authority. But they still got. Yeah.
Yeah, that Bird Township municipal thing was for some pretty heavy lifting.
Okay.
So,
And then they got the county park. There's just about everything. Oh,
and
they didn't have PennDOT.
there's a county outfall there too that
Yeah.
needed to be permitted, right?
Yeah.
Go on.
Easements and stuff. So
The only
that's
thing
why-
they didn't have was PennDOT.
This should not have any impact on their ability to connect.
Okay.
And we'll be constructing the new pumping station while the other pumping station is in operation. That was
Right.
another challenge of this, is building one far enough away so we're not interfering with lines getting to the pumping station, doing something that
I'd
makes
imagine
sense.
their build project's gonna be a couple years.
So,
It's
like,
big.
the current force main, we're gonna be stopping about 100 feet short of what it was originally going to be. So that there's room for a new pump station and the coordination. And this is the one area in the city that still has a unattended overflow to a water of the Commonwealth. So that is something that goes away with the new pump station.
What is that? Unintended overflow to the what?
To waters of the Commonwealth, AKA the Topahakan Creek.
Oh.
So that when the wet well level gets too high, you reach a certain point and you're now discharging to the whole Topahakan.
Those extreme weather events will,
Yes.
2 inches of rain over a certain time period.
We had, in 2023, the only issues that we had to report to DEP on the water quality side were relative to the 19th Ward pump station. With the rains July
December probably.
9th? No,
Oh, really? 'Cause
Nope.
I know that time in December, it was,
Yeah, July 9th.
thank you, thanks to July 9th.
Yeah, so
So,
this is a significant improvement
yes,
to help out with this consent decree, which, as you said, we've been dealing with this since 2005.
negotiations for the consent decree started on April 24th, 2003.
So the force main then goes into the data site, which that's the new pole
Yes,
facility that's.
and actually, the city owns the property. The city typically owns the property that has interceptors and force mains. So we have a few little nuances, but the city owns property along Schuylkill River there adjacent to that site.
So is that something we need to bring up as part of we expect that their plans will be submitted relatively soon.
That particular parcel should not have been conveyed to them, so I have not,
I don't think it is.
and that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be an issue that way. For them, the issue is more so, how they connect and where they connect. And trying to minimize any impact that having an interceptor that close by, clearly.
Things are still all tentative.
Sure.
Tim knows more than I do about that.
Do you have any questions about?
I'm just curious, what kind of pressure is the force main under?
Oh my.
because the force main is not going up and over a large hill. That's the static pressures when you're going up and over something. You're dealing with dynamic pressure, so it's not extreme. I mean, you're talking about, in terms of PSI, 50, 60 PSI, it's nothing, it typically is not too outrageous. It's more of that gallons per minute, you're getting, 1,400, 2,000 gallons per minute. So you're moving a lot of water pretty fast, but those force main pipe, the force main size is a good size, it's what, 14 inch. And then we put these with HDPE or PVC pipes, so you get a smooth wall, and there's good material behind some of the stuff, so it lasts a long time.
It's a lot of flow that gets there.
Well, EnTech does some work over at Spring as well, and see what's coming down the pipe. You know, Deb knows it as the Topahakan Limited, but the Reading Hospital track is that big track that's right near, you know, on the flip side of Barnes and Noble, that paper mill and broadcasting, and you know, developers kind of poking around there. They're talking about development sites. So much.
That site has been talked about for, well, so my daughter's gonna be 23, so that at least that many years.
Right, it's gonna be like a
Yeah, it's-
Walmart.
Yeah,
It's going through a lot of different potentials. And it seems that the wastewater flows kind of go, ooh, and before you know, they're going up again, and
What, is there a plan for that site at this point? There's people poking around. It's a developer from New York though, so I mean, but they're proposing mixed use. They're working with PennDOT because if PennDOT was gonna require the double diamond, that was gonna kill the project. But I think they cleared that hurdle, but I haven't seen any paperwork that says this is a go. That's usually at least when people start getting serious.
Reading Hospital still owns.
I believe so, but here's
check
things
the
to
Recorder
last.
Deeds website.
Yeah, I hear a lot of things, and usually by the time I hear things, there's a different story being told, so. All I know is we're looking at capacities within the sewers going to the main pumping station, because we can handle the flows and the future flows on the books now. But if they need 200, 300, 400,000 gallons a day, well, these sewers.
Now, by my memory, from when I worked at Spring Township, the siphon that goes under the Topahakan Creek was definitely a limiting factor.
Right.
And nobody really wanted to touch that.
Yeah.
So. leave it at that.
That
These
was
new
like-
apartment units, apartment buildings along the Topahakan, are they also tied into the system?
They're tied in. You're talking about the ones
Yeah, near the paper mill in that area.
assisted living
Well,
on
there's
that
one,
side?
there's one that was for student housing, whether it's actually.
Yeah, there's a pumping station at Penn State Berks, and that also goes to that, a reverse siphon underneath the river. Yeah, that all gets tied in.
so, yeah, it's,
Our forefathers had great insights and had a very futuristic look to ensure that capacities would be there for different things. And I'll say through flow conservation methods and changes in construction methods, changes in materials that have kind of reduced those extraneous type flows from getting in. It has prolonged the need to act on some of the areas. But
You
we've
got a
got
lot of rainwater infiltration of it. Is it,
there's a good chunk, and I'll just say, just because a system is newer, it also depends how well inspected the system was. There are some that have. There's some developments that have had newer systems installed that are better than others. And we can only control what's within the city. So the other entities, their flow is metered as it comes to us, and they pay based on what is
they pay,
set.
if there's stormwater in it, they pay for it anyway?
Yes,
That's always no matter where you are working on infiltration, so it's. Costs a lot of money but you save a lot of money if you can fix those problems.
Right.
You're always looking for that smoking gun, the big hole in the pipe, and then usually it's not like that.
Thank you.
A question, I'm sorry if I
Yeah,
didn't hear
go.
this. Yeah, sorry if I didn't hear this. Is this site in a floodplain?
no,
We had to make
Okay.
sure that we were beyond the 100-year floodplain. We're actually a little bit higher than the 500-year floodplain, which is not that much different than the 100-year floodplain, because just how we've seen it over the last 5 years, you're getting the 100-year storm every other year. Kind of want to make it a little bit higher so that you don't have problems.
Hey, Matt, this is Tim. If the toe of the fill for the pump station crosses over into the 100-year floodplain, you will need to have a permit for that. Even though the building is outside, if you're filling in the floodplain, the city will need to issue a permit for that.
That
Yeah,
was my follow-up
we're
thought.
Yeah, we're trying to minimize anything within that 100-year floodplain. One of the conversations we're going to have actually with Deb and group tomorrow is, those handicap spots, or if we put spots down there,
Right.
we need to do work around there that might trigger permitting. And I will say the caveat for that schedule that I'm talking about, if we need to do a chapter 106 permit, which Tim is aware of, and there's an H&H study that goes along with it, it could drag permits out for a year. So it's a balancing act between working with the county parks department to say, what do you want? Because we're eliminating their paths and still making things feasible with not going to all these different permits. So it's a balancing.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. You're right. The permit with the city is going to be easy. It's the chapter 106 that could get
Yeah, we're
dicey.
trying to avoid that chapter 106 where you're doing anything in a floodplain, floodway. We're trying to avoid that at all costs.
Right.
We're also trying to keep the limit of disturbance less than an acre so that we don't need an NPDES for that. Because we're right now at 0.9 acres, which, and I don't think we're gonna need more room than that. So we'd rather just work with Tim and the city for those local permits versus going to NPDES.
Any other questions on this subject?
Tim, did we miss anything from your viewpoint on this one?
I think the planning commission might be wondering if this is going to be submitted as a land development or a subdivision, because I think you're going to be subdividing correctly. Is that correct?
We are going to be subdividing, but also giving a lot back. It's almost like a swap.
Mhm.
So we're not creating a new lot. We're just somewhat, in essence, moving a lot.
Mhm.
You'll still need a thing.
Yeah, if you're going to subdivide, you'll still need a plan. It's not a big deal, but you still need a plan.
60 days tops.
Yeah, but things have been streamlining
Yeah, it's good.
around here. So since Deb is here, I just wanted her, if she doesn't mind, to go over how permitting at the sewer modules works. Because
It's fine on our
Peter,
end.
yeah, Peter and James haven't heard this, Will has, but you know, I think.
Do we need a separate workshop for that?
But I mean, on the local level, it's fine.
It's the permitting of the new development through the sewage facilities planning process. We have an Act 537 plan, which looks at sewer needs projected out through 2035. And that was done in 2012. So it kind of gives you the flavor for where you think things are. And Act 537 is looking at the long-term version of your sewage facilities planning. On an annual basis, I'm looking at Jerome, we do a Chapter 94 report, which pulls together the information from all the contributing municipalities. And they submit information to us, which kind of gets you to what's coming, what can come into the treatment plant, and you look back 5 years, you look ahead 5 years. So as we have new development coming in, some of those flows might show up on a Chapter 94 report. They weren't part of the Act 537 plan. As long as we have the consent decree, we will be required to do planning modules, sewage facilities planning modules, which actually go to DEP. So it's a matter of pulling together the information, and the developer will submit it. There's the city review, and if it's in a different municipality, that host municipality has a review component as well, to ensure that there is capacity in the lines that collect the flow, that convey the flow, any pump stations it's going through till it gets to the wastewater plant, to make sure that that additional flow isn't creating any type of overflow conditions. All those signatures in place, the resolutions adopted by whatever municipality is in, saying that they're amending their 537 plan, and it goes off to DEP. They have, let's see, 90 days to act on it. if they don't act, I can only remember one time I got a phone call at like day 80. That they hadn't done anything and wanted to know if we would be offended if it was just deemed approved based on time. But, that, it's a process that can take time when you start to look at, if it's another municipality. Coming through something, through that municipality, each municipality, the flow goes through. Is supposed to be looking at that capacity. Till it gets into the city system. So you can have a few municipalities, or it could just be all within the city. Once everything gets signed off though, then it goes into DEP. And there we go.
And that's where the time start, that takes,
Yeah, so
Sewer planning, when people say, how long is this process gonna take? I typically see it take a year. It takes a long time, because when you have,
but we let them know right away. It's like, look, start on that now.
yeah, because I mean, just the component 4A and 4B that goes to the, the county planning, they have 60 days to enact on it. So you have all these times, and then that has to happen before you can even, advertise, which is
I thought
another
the
30
DEP
days.
one was 120.
I think it's 190.
They better reduce.
It's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about, and one of the issues that the city has more so. Is a lot of properties it's more like it's a reuse of a building. So nobody's really thinking about the sewage side of it until they're getting building permits, they're looking to get a plumbing permit, and all of a sudden. Wait a minute, Tim's looking back at Rawa records going, oh, you have like 2 EDUs there, and now you wanna have 47? I mean,
Oh, no.
those are big issues.
Yeah, we get into that right away with them and then they go, oh, that's no problem. Yeah, it is.
There are some developers who recognize it right away, take the good advice and do prioritize it. There are others that don't necessarily see it as important until it starts to delay the project.
Yeah.
And then you hope that the next time they have a project coming forward, they remember that. But
The big one that we have coming up is that Mall Street.
Yeah, they recognize that, and we're going to break up their project and approve the parking lot and then give them preliminary plan approval on the apartments. Yeah, but the Schumann Group, they had the problem with during the transformation of the commercial office building at 35 or 6, yeah. Yeah, there's been like 3 or 4, we let them know right off the bat, it's like, it's gonna be a problem, it's gonna be a problem.
Right. And Schumann said it wouldn't be a problem. And
I
we were
know.
like, guess what? It's gonna be a problem. And we told them that in the beginning,
100 South 4th,
so
same thing.
we're trying to warn. We're
I-
trying to work with people as best as we can.
I can tell that everybody seems to be pulling together to try to make sure the developers are aware of that. That's a good sign. Because when everybody understands that it does take a lot of time to get through that, takes time to get the information together. And to compile everything that you need to get to that point. And there's not a whole lot of places you can really make up time in that process.
Yeah,
I
and
usually
Deb,
tell people.
Deb, I'd want to add on to just what you said there. An important consideration, it's not just time. You really do need to have someone who's familiar with the process. The whole planning module process is not something that most developers can do without professional help. And I don't know how best to say it because, you've got Schumann, and Schumann knows that he has to hire somebody to do that. And he held off on the North Fifth Street project for a while. Now I think he finally has Ludgate involved with that now. But the one we're looking at right now, I had talked to, if you remember, the Center Avenue, Windsor Way Holdings. They're trying to do it on their own, and it's taking months and months and months because they don't understand what's needed as far as proposed flows and the technical things you need to have to do that.
And not everybody that's a, building construction design professional, you really need a site design professional. You're looking at, civil engineering versus architectural engineering. different disciplines to look at that.
That's where we held the line. Mostly staff wise, on to. Make sure that they go through the land development process in conjunction with the planning module process, because they're gonna need a plan. The whole thing is. They just think that it's a holdup, it's not,
It's to try to help them.
yeah.
I just tell people, once the state is involved, you're getting comfortable. It's gonna be,
Don't take it back.
yeah, it's gonna be, I just always tell them, anything that involves the state, whether it be PennDOT,
PennDOT's
DEP,
smart.
whatever, it's gonna extend their time.
And I will say though, that we've only had a few that have actually gotten kicked back from DEP. But I think a lot of that goes to the work everybody else is doing to try to make sure everything is complete before it goes in. Because nobody wants anything kicked back. I think we all recognize what that does to a project, what that does to a developer trying to get financing, all the things and how it all fits together. So as long as we can all continue to work together and coordinate everything, I think we're in good shape. But it's a tedious process.
When do you need to check the credit report?
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the planning commission look at the draft that we're gonna send to you, that they meet next week. So,
If you wanna meet on that, that'd be fine.
I'll just send it to you right away.
That works.
I want the planning commission to at least look at it first.
I appreciate that. Does that mean that you're checking off that item then? from there?
Yeah, that'll be the update.
I'll ask on behalf of the Public Works Department, are we dismissed for this evening now that you're gonna move on to your zoning and SADO amendments?
Yeah, the rest of the agenda is not gonna take long. You can hang around if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we wanted to, yeah, we wanted to go over, you know, everything that had to do with sewage today that we could think of.
It's pretty.
Sewer day.
Yeah, I was attempting to get the chapter 94 in a draft form today, but I was like.
No worries.
That was not happening.
I actually just received the first 2 submissions this afternoon from outside municipalities. No worries. I got plenty of stuff to review that's in terms of.
Yeah, so, but thank you both for coming in.
Thank you. We appreciate the way you've had the agenda arranged, and I think I'm saying that'll be happy Tim as well.
The,
Tim will stick around.
I'll
Yeah.
stick around.
yeah, but, Matt, thank you for coming in.
No problem.
As always, as I said, in the past 19 years, my, experience with NTech has always been a good one.
Great.
Uh,
Yeah, we're down at the, right across the bridge on the gateway. So.
Oh, you're in there now.
Yeah.
Second and Penn.
Yeah, we moved from
Yeah.
Fourth, just a couple blocks down.
Yeah. Yeah, because the last major project was, what is that called? The electricity power plant at what is now DS Klein.
Oh, really?
Thank you guys.
We have a facilities group too. I wonder if they help with that.
Yeah,
I'll see
the,
you.
that was the last major project that I remember. in
NTech was involved with the 42-inch force main.
Yeah, in 2012 and 2018, 2019. The second enforcement went in there, right before COVID.
Yeah, it was right before COVID, because it got wrapped up, the construction,
Yeah.
I got done ahead of time.
So, as I said, always a pleasure
Yeah.
when
great.
you guys come in.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for this evening, we appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very good. We will move on to Jerome giving us updates on our zoning and SADO amendments.
Yeah, I was hoping to have a better update than this, but as a result of a number of things, we weren't able to have a staff meeting today. So we know we're gonna proceed with the phase 1 and phase 2 amendments. That's a given. We brought that up at our last meeting. The phase 3 amendments, there are a number of them that are we have as an internal list, and then they're coming in from outside sources. For example, food trucks is now been given to us, sidewalk cafes and beekeeping. All coming from different sources. That gets brought into the phase 3 amendments that we had, which was medical marijuana, which was, medical marijuana. So there's a lengthy list, and it's our objective is to then prioritize them and see what we can accomplish within a short enough time period that makes sense. But I don't think the phase 1 and 2 amendments should be held up any longer. And they should be forwarded to council, and that's what your recommendation was at your last meeting. So I think we're gonna hold with that. We don't necessarily have to merge them, but if it's desired by council to have them merged, we'll merge them. And
So what is the holdup in getting council to approve these?
oh, we just need to get it on their agenda, and then so that they go through the readings and go through all the committee things that they have to do, then advertise. So it's that generally takes about 60 to 90 days.
Yes, because 3 readings required at 3 separate meetings, all that kind of stuff.
And that's why I think they want them maybe merged. I have yet to talk to Jamal about that. If that's the final desire of city council.
Well, if we wait a little longer, we can phase 3 too.
That's what the thinking was. If we had a couple of small things to throw in, we would do that, and it's just the list is getting too long.
Could probably just start
Jer-
with beekeeping, the beekeeping. Go ahead, Michelle.
I say my offer is out there if you need me to draft the notice when they're ready to go forward.
And catch both. I didn't catch some of that.
I'm sorry?
Repeat that.
I said my offer is out there for drafting the notice for advertisement when they're ready to move forward.
Yeah, that's that's a very helpful. Michelle, I think I should have a better answer by the end of the week.
Okay.
One thing I will mention about food trucks is that what we do need to take a look at is that food trucks in the commercial core are regulated differently than in the rest of the city.
Shannon and I have been looking at provisions for food trucks in other municipalities and seeing how we can consider those. It seems like a freestanding ordinance may be better than in the zoning. It's really too complicated to handle in the zoning ordinance, and therefore it might be best, because I think that there's going to be multiple departments involved with this. Public Works will be involved with it.
Yeah, the health department.
Property maintenance. What's the person who does special events? Is that what property?
That's the downtown management.
That group? I mean, so there's several
And then,
groups.
there's also, I mean, it doesn't meet, it's really doesn't meet anymore, but there is a vending licensing.
Well, the vending license is only for like the carts. It's very limited to, like, it doesn't apply to anything bigger than, I forget what the size is. but
Yeah, there's a vending ordinance for food trucks in the commercial court.
Oh, okay.
So
I was on the vending licensing.
So let me ask this question, because we're throwing around some ideas. So if there's an event at, say, City Park, and there are no bricks and mortar places in close proximity, do food trucks come there?
Yeah.
How do they license? Do they do it?
The licensing is only for the commercial core. Because the idea was, and it was especially during the time when we had the DID. A lot of the owners downtown said that the food trucks aren't paying that
It's a, yeah,
that,
like the
that
restaurant.
tax, right, that the brick and mortar places were paying into the DID. Now that there's not a DID, and I believe that extra tax went away, that might not be such a concern anymore. But as far as I know, the vending,
Competition.
yeah, the vending license, the vending ordinance is still there.
And that's where we thought it's going to be a demand outside of the commercial board.
Right. Yeah, the other thing about that was that it regulated how many trucks could be in an area. You couldn't have like 3 trucks on one corner. And there's actually somebody in property maintenance that keeps track of where these trucks are supposed to be. And
That's what I was told, yes.
so that's, that's something that not too many people know about. The only reason I know about it was that in the original
Fire and rescue has to be involved. It's just too much to put on the zoning department.
Right, exactly. It's it becomes a very complicated issue when you get health, the health board, all these other places involved, and they all have to have certificates.
Yes.
Well, we need to figure it out, because I think, food culture is blossoming everywhere it goes, and it's really appealing. For us to say that. Okay.
I just don't think it's gonna be a good zoning amendment. I think a freestanding.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not a zoning issue, it's well, maybe it is.
It is in a way because if it is gonna be on a sidewalk, we do have to maintain 36-inch pedestrian clearance, so that it's ADA accessible. But there's other things too. I mean, it should not be close to a brick and mortar location. And it should not be, and also the separation distances that come into play for bus stops, parking spaces, driveways, street intersections. And there's some things you can put in the ordinance itself, but those are going to be regulated by the police.
There is in Bangkok, street vendor, food stall that has a machine store. It's that, it's sought after.
Wow.
Yes. Street food culture is exploding everywhere. And it could be here too.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
Jerome, you may want,
some of the things.
Jerome, from a zoning perspective, you may just want to keep a zoning amendment very limited if there's any areas where we don't want them, to specifically exclude them. So you could keep it very simple that way. If you've got a high residential zoning district and there's no parking, there's no this, there's no that, you may want to restrict them, prohibit them there, and then otherwise just say compliance with the other city ordinances.
That's good.
I would love to see us enable this. I think it would be actually an attraction.
We have nothing on the books now.
Yeah, the only thing that I know about, like I said, is the vending ordinance for the ones that are regulated in the commercial court. Actually, it turns out my neighbor has the food truck in front of the Santander building at 5th and 10th.
I mean, RACTA has events. The Riverfront Park. I mean, they have events.
Yeah, and Penn's Common, when they have certain events up there, there's always
So I was looking at air.
food trucks up there.
It was so simple to say, yeah, let's have them in these designated areas, but pop up there's potential everywhere. And I was just even identifying, okay, let's look at places that have seating, either temporary or permanent seating capacities for over 1,000 people. It's pretty mad.
Yeah, and even look, we have that food truck there next to that we just allowed at the car wash on North 5th Street. And then there's a food truck
Yeah, I know.
on 9th that's across from
Supposedly,
the meat
not
market.
permanently moored food.
Keep in mind, the zoning hearing board made us do that one. It wasn't our idea, it was in the zoning report decision.
Yeah, so, so it's not gonna be easy.
Okay.
All right, very good. All right, next up, we got the forced petition for zoning map amendment.
Do you have that on the screen? You have to get that on the screen.
Yeah, totally that.
We have a proposal that's from the folks are the Horst. And they would like to see a property be rezoned from the P zoning district, which is the public or
Preservation.
That's
preservation district to the R1. This is it's along Hessian Road, and there's another road too that's Trooper, okay. So that's the parcel land, and where's the R1?
So this is R1. This is P, this is R1. This used to be R1.
Oh.
And the previous owner, did a map amendment to change it to preservation so that no one would build on it because they lived over here.
So I did a review on this some time ago, and I issued the letter. So we'll have that to you. I think it got back onto the city council's agenda, and they wanted to know what the planning commission had to say about it. Keep in mind, with a petition for a zoning map change or a zoning amendment, it's made by a landowner. There is no time frame that's put on us. We can act upon it at any given time. We can consider it for as long as it takes. But this one kind of makes sense.
Especially since it was originally R1.
How changing it?
We-
Why would an owner change it so that somebody else could build on it? If they own it already, nobody build on it anyway. That's the point.
The lot area difference between the P and the R1 district is substantially different. It's 6,500.
I don't know.
I put that in the report, but I will forward the report to you. I had just issued it just to the staff for further review, but we'll consider it at our next VC.
You know, when that occurred anyway.
This has been in the talks for a while. The owner had reached out to the zoning office end of 22, beginning of 23. And it was just a matter of them submitting a zoning map amendment application. And I think they were going back and forth whether or not they wanted to. This is technically one parcel separated by the road, so I'm not sure what their plans are currently. I know that they had or were thinking about basically doing a subdivision and separating the parcels so that way they can actually build homes.
It was a 4-lot subdivision. They were
Yeah.
considering.
So each portion of that would have been 2 separate lots in each portion. I don't know what their final proposal is. But we did have a meeting with them and told them kind of what their options were. This does flow in. This does fall into the steep slope area. And it's a very steep slope.
Yeah, if you go on the street view of it, it's the left side of Hessian going up the road is uphill, and then the other side is down.
That all this over here and this south of it is all R1. And so technically this parcel is split zoned, technically, because it is all one parcel just separated by a road.
And so, the parcel that is on the guess that's the south side of Hessian Road. The south side of that property, is that preservation on that side, or did they get away with spot zoning and nobody picked it up?
No, so this here, over here is preservation. This up here and down here is R1. So, no, it wasn't spot zoning when they went to P. And it wouldn't be spot zoning going back to R1.
There's contiguous land in zone R1.
What does preservation do?
It really limits what you're allowed to,
Preserved by who, though, it's not a public land, right, it's private land.
We have a lot of our preservation district that are located along the rivers and also the mountainous area, the steep slopes. I guess it was meant that it should not be developed any further.
And Emily,
So-
there's
Yeah,
nothing
so-
in,
this is,
there's nothing in the zoning ordinance that allows an extension that if a property is split by zoning, they get to pick.
sorry, Michelle, you broke up. Could you repeat that?
Is there anything in the zoning ordinance that allows if a property is split by like a road or zone, two different zoning districts, that they get to choose which district?
No,
Okay. That would resolve the
Yeah,
issue.
I know it's. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Michelle, but there is,
Okay,
but okay, I'll send that to you so you have more information for next week. And if you feel comfortable with making a recommendation at the PC meeting on the 27th, then you can. Then it's all off our table.
Sounds good. Were you able to catch everything, Will and James?
Not everything, but I think I got enough of it. Thank you.
Okay, great. And like I said, Jerome will be sending out more information. So, update on the planning commission meeting minutes.
so.
I'm gonna-
So in doing, some of the minutes, I found out that the ones from April to September, they were approved, but I don't have any of those corrections that were mentioned. So once I get the document with the corrections, I can just post them. I did, send you the minutes for September and October. I'm halfway done through November, and then I'll have December done by the end of the week.
Usually the corrections are done by Will and myself. I will look through my emails to see which ones I corrected
Okay.
and review
Yeah, because I have
my
all the,
corrections.
I have all the drafts, but, the motion was, to accept all the minutes with minor corrections, but I don't know what those minor corrections are.
Yeah. Usually periods, commas, and stuff like that.
Okay,
And our goal is to have them all, the ones from last year adopted this next week.
I have, let's see, do I have that for September? Yes, I do have corrections for both September and October.
okay,
By the way, Keith's last name is Mooney,
oh, did I spell that
not
wrong?
Mooney.
Oh, oops.
Mooney.
That might have just been like,
No pun intended.
It might have been an autocorrect thing.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking it was.
So, but I have those corrections ready for you,
Okay,
so I'll send those out. I'll send those out Thursday.
okay.
Okay, planning commission annual report.
So see how that worked? They have the agenda of the meeting minutes first. So once I get those meeting minutes, then we'll do the report. And then, and as Simon's observing this is Simon's job next year.
Yeah. Great.
So, yeah, so we needed the meeting minutes first and then we'll have the report. the report will be issued in, the March meeting.
We need, resolution list. I know that, Brandy started one and I think I have.
There were only a few last year.
Yeah.
And so far we have one for this year.
So,
We should get back on those.
yeah, so look. Take a look at that. All right. Spending less time down in Royersford now, I've told them I can only commit 3 days a week. Because I tell you what, if I go down there more than 3 days a week, I'm gonna have to take a gun with me and start shooting people. Oh my God, just, running a bar room is just not, not the thing for me. Let's see here, wastewater management report, we did talk about this briefly.
We talked about that, and that will be, it's my objective to get you that draft next week, so you can look at it. Public Works Department is under a time constraint that they have to have the wastewater management report submitted to DEP in March.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to get that to them, and it's just really looking to see if we missed something versus it's not really a dot your I or cross your T thing. It's making sure we identified all the projects we have.
And that brings us to the planning commission meeting agenda for our regular meeting of February 27th.
Yeah, I was going to try and coordinate this a little bit better with staff, but I have not had the opportunity. But it looks like we have GabaWorks too. We're going to have Duca Residential go for preliminary plan approval. And that way that we don't have to worry about that plan so much. And that way they have to go through their planning module itself. Duca parking, we feel can be approved. They have the municipal improvements agreement and stormwater management maintenance agreement, and they're ready to do those. I wanted both projects done simultaneously, but I think it'd be best if they just do them separately at this stage.
Yeah, and if they feel that they have the capacity to do the apartments, they can do the parking lot then.
In a perfect world, it would be nice to have them done together.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see them get started on the parking lot, and as that's being done, their planning modules will eventually be approved.
Yeah, because then they can use the parking lot as, they can use the parking lot as staging for when they do the renovations to the actual building. And that'll work out a lot better, because that lot is just gravel and grass and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Looks like we'll have the Reading School District softball field for approval. Yeah. Burn Street Car Wash, we did make progress on the stormwater management.
Maybe.
But they just got an approval that was necessary for the project, and that was the planning module.
So I say maybe because of accounting. So all the escrows went under audit, and there are many projects that have outstanding balances. And so, those emails are being sent out. I think for Burn Street Car Wash, I'll be sending it out tomorrow. She was finishing up the final accounting for that.
Okay.
So if they can provide payment before, then we can put them on the agenda, but right now we're thinking that anything that does have an extreme balance specifically, that reviews and signatures and releasing plans will be paused until those payments start coming in.
Yeah,
And
my,
138 South Main.
yeah, my recommendation is that the planning commission conditionally approve the plan. And the condition be one of the conditions require, and I think this is actually stated in the MPC, requires payment of all outstanding bills.
Okay,
But it's good you gave them notice.
yes.
Right.
There, yeah, I gave notice, to Iglesia Pentecostal. They received an email, and Whitby's Mennonite Church received an email. And there was one or two other ones I sent out today, and they'll be sent out as we start wrapping up the audit.
Yeah, the planning commission can approve the plans, they just won't be released. And therefore, no permits will be issued.
So yeah, we'll be sending out a draft agenda in the next 2 days. And this time we can finalize it on Monday.
Okay.
Hey, Jerome, this is Tim. Just to back up on Fifth Street Car Wash. Did we get the stormwater management revisions submitted?
No, not since we talked.
I don't this is the part I don't understand. Is major revisions in that stormwater management. And they keep promising to send it in, and they don't do it. It's been a month now since they said they would send it, and we haven't seen it. I really think Michael Hartman should look at that, and now I'd like to look at it too.
This is the Burn Street Car Wash.
Yeah, the Burn Street Car Wash. They were supposed to submit those revisions. It's an MRC now instead of a regular infiltration basin, so it's a pretty substantial change. In fact, they even called it a major amendment to their NPDES permit. Yeah, but
This is the one we had this. This is the one we had the Zoom meeting on last week.
correct. Yeah. And this is the one that Greg Bozier keeps saying he's going to send the revised, stormwater plan for this new infiltration basin, which is not an infiltration basin. It's probably going to be a lot like the basin they did for Exeter Hall, which is an MRC. It's a substantial change to their stormwater management plan. And I'm not going to be in a position to recommend an approval until at least Michael has a chance to look at it and say, yeah, this looks fine, or, well, wait a minute, we should let maybe the DEP take a look at this too.
And what I said to Joan London, their attorney, was I recommended that Tim Kroll, that the city could consider reaffirmation upon receipt of a letter from the Conservation District of administration completion of the revised plan and application.
Yeah, and that's good. I'd still like to have Michael look at this.
Oh, I agree. And that was just reaffirmation. That wasn't, it'd be
Oh, okay.
it'd be conditional reaffirmation of plan approval.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't
Yeah, so
even
this
recommend
plan-
Okay, so Jerome, you haven't seen that submission of stormwater revision. So I'm going to send.
I'm gonna go back and double.
I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
go
go back
back.
and
Look, I
double-check
got,
my
yeah,
files.
I'm going to do the same thing. But if I don't see it and you don't see it, then I'm going to send them an email tomorrow and say, hey, you want to be on the agenda, you better submit stuff so we can look at it.
Tim, can you copy
Yeah,
me
there-
so I can let Joan London know?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you. And I
Yeah.
think the three of us need to talk about Lichties too before next week.
Okay.
And just an FYI, I have another meeting at City Hall starting at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. It could go an hour and a half, so Chris Hartman has agreed to jump on via Zoom to cover the first part of the planning commission meeting. And then when I'm done with my other meeting, I'll come up to your meeting.
Okay, sounds great. Awesome,
Mr.
that's
Chairman,
all.
this is Will.
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Yeah, sorry if I missed something earlier. I momentarily had to step out. When was introduced the proposed ordinances on the beekeeping, I think that is a smart idea because it's a commercial enterprise. But I'm also want to suggest that we we consult with the environmental committee because there's an environmental aspect too, because the bees are great pollinators. They're vitally important, and their population has been devastated in recent years. And it brings to mind some other aspects to it. I don't want to go into detail at this hour, but for example, some people will plant certain plants to attract bees and other pollinators like butterflies. But some of them are native species, and some are considered invasive, like butterfly weed, I believe, for example. So that might be something we want to think about. I don't know if we want to consult the arborist or not, but at least the environmental committee and get their expertise. I know, like I said, probably the focus was on the commercial component, but like I said, I don't want to overlook this other part of it too. Just starting to think about
So-
it. Thank
so-
you.
So Will, this actually came to us from the EAC. This came to us from the environmental committee.
Oh, good.
They
Okay.
they drafted basically the whole thing. We just have to make some revisions to it to make it more zoning oriented.
Right.
And this
Okay.
was
Well,
more
then my
for
point was
just-
the point was on there, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Very good,
and
right.
so this is actually, so this was more for like residential beekeeping. Not
Mhm.
necessarily like for a commercial economic development thing.
Okay.
And I
good.
did make a recommendation that, cause part of it is that if they don't have a large enough lot or. There's certain things that they have to do if they don't have the area. One of the things they can do to
Mhm.
mitigate that is to plant some sort of shrubbery. And so if
Mhm.
they're going to do that, that's going to require review and approval from the city arborist.
There we go.
I'm a
Right
resident.
on.
Alright,
Yeah.
Right.
Resident. First of all, there's a permitting process that you should go through from the state. So if you're a beekeeper, you need to have a
You have to
license.
you have to register with the state.
So that should be a requirement. Secondly, it doesn't matter what you plant in your property, the bees flies the radius of 2 miles. You're not gonna stop them. The big problem is in your tight area that they might go over to your neighbor's place and hang out. And I don't like that.
Well, and that's one of the things too, they drafted the ordinance that we're considering from a model ordinance.
Yeah.
And there is a minimum lot size, but then if they don't meet that lot size, they would have a form, basically notifying their neighbors and getting permission from their neighbors, so then we can use their neighbors' lots in the calculation for the minimum required lot size. They will also be required to have some sort of signage, on, like either in their window, on their railing, something saying that they do have what Hive that I learned is called an apiary, that there is an apiary, on that property.
People with allergies that.
Yeah.
I mean, the allergies could be actually deadly.
2 miles.
Yeah, so the
Oh,
the EAC actually did a really good job, in doing a draft, and, we were really grateful that they included zoning from the beginning. And so we had 2 meetings already, and, it's pretty much done. So everything we discussed, it was already brought up. They have someone that is a beekeeper on the committee. And so he was able to provide a lot of insight and expertise on the subject, so,
That's great.
yeah.
We have our own in-house expert, so pretty good with this. There are beehives at the Goggle Works
And at the DoubleTree.
and at the DoubleTree. Is that part of the?
Well, so when we were drafting where they would be permitted and everything like that, we had those in mind.
Next.
There was one at Lowers Park too. I don't know if that's still there. Mhm.
One last thing, because we are a little over, I usually try to wrap this up at 7:30, but everybody knows that when you're talking sewage, it takes a lot longer than. I just wanted to ask Emily about the zoning hearing board hearing for Wednesday, the 14th. It's 320 North 9th Street and the adaptive reuse.
Yes,
Is that something you think we will eventually be seeing, or is this?
yeah, I have spoken with the architect, they had already come in front of you guys to do the annexation first. They were gonna do, and they did that separate just to kind of keep things kind of flowing. So he is very much aware that he's gonna have to come to do a land development, and I have told him that they're going to need to do planning modules. So they're aware,
20,
320 North Lane.
they're on a state road.
See,
So they aren't proposing any new curb cuts or anything, their parking lots are already existing, the curb cuts are already existing. It's just a matter of reusing the building.
cool. Yeah, I just wanted to do
They're,
a quick update on that.
yeah, they're very much aware, CHB, they wanted to just make sure that for habitable area, parking and everything, they seem okay with the project, we'll find out their
This-
decision next month.
One where, parking's around the corner on Buttonwood.
No, that one was 408 North Lane.
Oh,
320 is the one that it had a building that was commercial, and then it had parking that was 2 parcels. And so they annexed the 3 parcels together.
cool. Now I remember. Okay, cool. No, this is going to work. Actually, I had a big discussion about this kind of stuff with my father yesterday. About how we're making people really think about parking. My father 30 years ago wanted to buy a bunch of parcels which are now ripped down and owned by the parking authority on 9th Street. And my father said, I will leave the one building, rip down the other 2, put in parking. And the city at that time wouldn't allow him to do it.
He was ahead of his time.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, with that, is there anything else for this meeting? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Peter makes the motion, second,
Second.
James seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very good. We are out of order. Thank you once again to everyone for attending today. This was a very good meeting. Learned a lot today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.